Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Happy Pride, and welcome to day 3 of LlewellynCon 2021. My name is Jaymi Elford, and I've been reading and playing with tarot for over 30 years. I'm also the author of Tarot Inspired Life, which you can find on the Llewellyn's site, as well as all the other fine local metaphysical bookstores, and the creatrix of the Triple Goddess Tarot by Lo Scarabeo. In addition to that deck, I've also authored about a dozen or more Lo Scarabeo books for their tarot decks. My most recent was the Heaven and Earth Tarot, but this year I've got 2 more decks coming out, including one of the big ones called the Runic deck. I'm also 1/3 of the Card Slingers from Card Slingers Coast to Coast podcast, and my pagan witchy path is very heavily focused on divination and tarot. I love it. I love all divination types. I've got a whole bunch of shelves with books and decks back behind me. And I love learning how to integrate the decks, the artwork, what they mean into all aspects of my life. A wish is halfway to wherever you want to go. That's a quote Maurice Sendak had that I discovered a few days ago as I was thinking about what offering I was going to give to you today. And boy, to me, this quote also kind of sums up how I see us attaining goals. For the most part, we think about goals and we keep them up here in our heads. And it takes a lot of steps, courage, and willpower for us to actually bring them from that headspace, the cloud space, into reality. So my offering to you today is to share with you some tips and a simple yet expandable 3-card spread to help you track how close you are to manifesting your goals. So, as you can see in my slide, I'm going to share these, and I want you to walk away feeling inspired to integrate tarot into your goal processes, because it's a lot of fun to do this. It really is. So, how do we go about doing this? Well, first you got to pick your focus. What could that be? Well, it's a goal, which is loosely defined as an object of a person's ambition or effort. It's an aim or desired result. Again, that kind of goes into wish territory or dreams. But you got to have that spark. You got to have that first inkling of what you want before you can, pull it out of your head and, ooh, look, it's in my life now. So this can be a concrete goal, like a new car, home ownership, or it could be a quality of life thing, like weight loss, saving money, a new job. All of this, the goals to me are something you want to attract to you. So it's something new that you want to bring into your life that's going to help you find and rediscover, rekindle the happiness within you. The other focus that you can choose in this process is a habit breaker. These are the items we no longer want in our life and that we want to cast them out. Sometimes when you want to attract something in your life, like love, you got to clear something out, a habit. So this would be a good thing, like if you have an issue that you want to work on, like a previous divorce, you got to get over that in order to attract a new love into your life, or self-acceptance, or any sort of again, a habit breaker that you want to cast out. So before you jump into all this, unless you do have goals, it's fun to keep a list of accomplishments. Sometimes people refer to this as a bucket list. It could be like places you want to go to or things you want to experience in your life. But to me, list keeping is a fantastic way for you to collect a lot of cool ideas that you can use to partake in this process, whether it is something you want to attract to you or something you want to remove so that you can make the space to bring in that new item. Then we start with the end in mind. So some goals have physical ends to them. Maybe it's saving $5,000, bringing in double what you made somehow. It can be a creative project gets finished. You've written a 50,000 word draft of a novel, or you have painted something. However, not all goals have an end date. So in order to really understand, to manifest what we want, you have to start with that end in mind. You got to take some time to visualize what the end result will be. Again, this is all part of that dream, wish, headspace type stuff, but it really does help us when we decide I'm ready to tackle on this habit breaker, or I'm really, I got a good game plan for saving that money to go to Hawaii. So again, this is done in your mind and in your journals. I like to play in my journals where I describe a perfect day, where I say, if money was not an issue, time wasn't an issue, if I didn't have, obligations or this stressful thing going on right now, what would I do? And I would just, I just play. It's like, I might take a day by myself, have my partner hide in the room or go out somewhere outside the house, and this is what I would do or how I would spend my time. So when you write this or you think about it, when you close your eyes, you create this goal, this item. If it's an object, imagine it in your hands, imagine it in your house, or driving it if it's a new car. Create it so vividly that you can just almost feel like you have it in your hands, that you just pluck it out of your head, smell it, use all of your 5 senses. I know that Laura Tempest Sakharov yesterday was talking about the witch's anatomy, the body. Use all of your senses, embody this, really, really hone into what you want, the desires, how it's going to make you feel, so that you kind of have that end in mind. And that's also the basis of spell casting in a way, where you need to know the outcome or the desired outcome before you can petition the world, your gods and goddesses, or others to help you bring it in. So how will you measure the success of your element or the goal or this thing you're trying to get rid of? Well, I am going to bring some business into it. So for those of you that probably have done a lot of team building exercises or corporate informative sessions, one way to do this is using the SMART goals. Yes, I'm bringing up SMART goals in a tarot session. So it's one thing to tell people you're going to lose weight. It's a completely different thing when you specify that you want to lose 20 pounds in 12 months or 1 pound in a month. Likewise, the creative stuff. If you want to write a book, it's easier to say, I'm going to write that first draft of my urban fantasy in 30 days with a target word count of 50,000 words. Now, I bet some of you are like, no way, that's not doable. It's totally doable. My first draft of this book was 50,000 words. And I did it in about 20 days. Granted, it wasn't anything Llewellyn wanted to buy at that time, but the point is that I had a dream and I made an end date and a goal to get that first step done. Some of these you'll have to chunk into smaller steps in business and doing things in kind of a linear fashion. And that's fine too, because a big goal like publish book, how? You don't know that until you kind of figure out the manageable chunk by chunks. And that first step might be sitting in your desk, opening up Word or Scrivener or something, and then typing a little bit at a day. So I've found when I use concrete and time-bound specifics with my goals, or anything really, I kind of achieve them more. And this is something that is easier to do than just tossing out a desire. This is why a lot of the New Year's resolutions don't work, because people say, I'm going to lose weight this year. They go to the gym for 1 month and then they're like, I can't do it anymore. Stop. I'm done. So time management experts talk about goals being SMART, which are specific, clear and concisely stated, measurable. There's some sort of measurement to them. They're achievable. And this is attainable with your current skill set. They are relevant. Does it fit into your current lifestyle? And time bound. How long will it take to achieve? And it really does work. Because when you build clarity and you arrange that end, it helps generate excitement into what you're doing. You can actually look on the calendar if it's a 30-day project and go, I'm going to start today. And then you're like, ooh, look, I'm closer. I did this. I did this little micro movement. And I'm going to keep doing that until the thing, if it's a creative project, the thing is done, or until the next step. So you get to see the change in your head. Then you hold that image. And then you just work at it step by step by step until you're able to get that manifestation out. And this is when I get to bring tarot into it. So this is a small 3-card offering that I have for you today. You can use a tarot deck or an oracle of your choice, whatever you're familiar with. Sometimes it can be fun to use something you're not familiar with. Or you can even use a simple index card, or 2 or 3. You can pull that out and write things down, because to me, building your own oracle is also kind of fun in this. You can do this as a beginner. You can do this as an expert. Sometimes you don't even need to use the true card meanings, because sometimes those aren't really even relevant anyway. Use your intuition. Let the card image tell you what's going on. Sometimes I'll pull numbers. Like if you get like the 5 of Swords, you don't have to go, oh, geez, somebody's going to be doing something against me. Or, am I doing something against them? No, you can just be like, oh, 5. Is 5 days, 5 months, 5 years? And then you can use that. So another thing is, while this reading uses 3 cards, you could also expand it out to include more if you need to. Many tarot readers, including myself, start with 3 cards because it gives us a snapshot of what's going on. It's versatile enough for the beginners and experts. It gives you just enough info to get started. And that's kind of what the beginnings of manifesting your goals with tarot is all about. Just enough tiny information to get you excited, to get you over that inertia, that resistance to push through. So, as the screen says, card 1 is your goal. This represents your end result. Now, I love this because this sets the stage for your journey. You can select this card by looking through your deck face up. Granted, a new card might not show up on a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. However, you can find the image of how that having that new car is going to make you feel, or having that new house will make you feel. If it's a new house, it could be the 10 of Cups, which we like to call the happy family card. The rainbow, the picket fence, all that. Or if you are using a modern deck, some decks have motorcycles, some have cars. You can actually drop that based on the image. Or this is where I say, write that SMART goal on an index card and then use that as card 1. Because this way, you start crafting that spell and you set the stage for a ritual. So if you're feeling adventurous, you can also try asking the deck for a random representation of the outcome. Sometimes what we want isn't what we really want. Maybe we want love, but we don't understand that we want love coming from within rather than another person in our lives. So sometimes tarot can help us get to the heart of the matter when we ask it to be the random advice card for us. Card 2 gives us information around that goal as you currently stand in that moment. So this can be something known, something unknown, maybe a topic that's relevant to your goal. It can be a gift that it wants to give you, a skill set, or sometimes it could even bring in a person that you might need along your journey. This card shows you information to keep in mind. So like, oh, okay, well, I knew that this was going to, take a lot of work, like the Eight of Pentacles, or it might contain something you need to do or have before you work on your goal, or after or during as you work on the next step. Card 3 is that ignition. I like to call these types of questions the light a fire under your butt or under your passion so that you can get started moving towards what you want. Again, from here to reality is Mobius. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of perseverance. It takes some hard work to bring your desires out into reality. So this is your micro movement. These are small, single little activities designed to be achievable. And they work so well with like the SMART goal idea because while you might say, okay, I'm going to write a book. Well, that write a book could mean anything. How many words a day? Are you going to just sit down and write it until you pass out and have to go to the hospital? No. You could, manage your time and be like, well, I'm going to write a book, but I want this book to be, I can only find half-hour chunks. So I'm going to write for 30 minutes a day. Or I'm going to word base it. I'm going to write 500 words a day. So that is a lot easier. Or even, for your health, I'm going to drink 4 cups of water a day. That's easier than saying, I'm going to just drink a lot of water. So these are just small things to get you moving and feeling good about what you do. And once you have these cards out and you kind of sit with them, you look at the information that it's kind of giving you between the what you need to know and that first action step. Make sure you make time and space for that action step, for that card number 3. And sometimes I find that when I do that small micro step, I did the thing, be excited. Woohoo, we did the thing. That might be all you need out of this reading to get you moving daily, to get you going. Sometimes, though, that's not the reality. Sometimes you get one thing done and then it's, what's next? What do I do now? Well, you can repeat card number 3 over and over and over again. Expand upon it. Okay, I did this first step. How am I feeling? What's next? Okay, I'm going to pull another card. Okay. That gave me another micro step to do. Okay. What's next? And then you just keep repeating it until you either reach the end date or you get your end goal. And that's kind of the basis of beginning to use tarot in with managing your goal process. I like that tarot for me is it's a coach, it's a cheerleader, especially when we are working on these steps. Because not all of us have a guidance counselor or somebody else to help you. And this is kind of the basis for one of my exercises in my Tarot Inspired Life book, where I ritualized this practice. So I describe a year-long working that takes you through this process where you add a card a month. I've taught this to so many people, and some of them have used this process for shorter periods of time. So like 3 months, they're like, well, I can't pick 12 cards in 3 months. And I'm like, well, you can break it down by week. You can break it down by day. In some cases, if you have the space and have a ritualized tarot altar, you can set up all these decks around you to where you can keep it out. So you can see the progression of where you started to how you've ended after that time is over. So thank you for coming to this talk. Like I said, I do include that expanded ritualized process where you even pick a deity, you got all this other fun stuff, you have a kickoff card, you have a wrap-up card in Tarot Inspired Life. And if you did find this helpful or inspiring, I want you to reach out to me, innercompasstarot.com. I want to hear what you've done with this little spark, this little offering that I've given you today. I'm also on social media, mostly on Twitter and Facebook. I do have an Instagram. However, I mostly use that to comment on your pages for right now. I love having people come to me with questions. I love talking about tarot. And I also, like I said, host on Card Slingers Coast to Coast podcast. So I'm going to put up my last slide, which has my information. So here's how you can contact me. And at this point, I am more than happy to take questions about this topic or anything else that you might have relating to tarot or myself or anything else. And if you haven't screenshotted that spread, I'd be happy to put that back up as well. Yay, I'm glad that you were motivated, Anne. It's really early. I've got my vitamin water, and for those of you on the West Coast or earlier, thank you so much for taking the time here. Moon Chica. Hi, I'm writing a fiction book about a green witch. How can I use the tarot cards? Oh, this is one of my favorite topics. There's so much you can do with tarot and creative writing. You can use the cards to help you create characters. You can create settings with it. You can pull a card for plot points and do that out. I have a whole chapter in this book on using tarot for creative writing. So yes, definitely use the cards however you want. You can even use it as a creative coach. Let's see here. Oh, Caroline, yay! Caroline says that this was inspiring and they're going to order their first tarot deck. You are so welcome. And remember, everybody attending gets a 30% off the Llewellyn code so that you can use it on their site to order my book, one of the other decks that I've done, or anything that any of the other presenters or Llewellyn authors put out. April asks, can I say more about habit breaking? Yes. So to me, like I was saying up front, I look at goals and dreams as either something you want to attract to you or push away. So I'm going to go ahead and hide the slide real quick. So a habit breaker would be like, I got to quit smoking, or self-depreciation. I need to stop, saying I suck, or, I'm a horrible person, because especially that one in conjunction with love, you don't want to attract people that you're going to caretake for or find that you're going to do more for. So a habit breaker for a goal is something good to have when you want to make more space for something better in your life. So let's focus on the quitting smoking. I've seen so many people have issues giving up smoking or the nicotine gum or even vaping because they haven't really set a time for it. There's nothing measurable, like they don't work with their healthcare to drop down their nicotine or measure anything. And they've never, really it comes down to setting a date and having that willpower. How badly do you want this? So I hope that kind of answered a little bit more of what you were looking for. If not, you can email me or contact me afterwards and we can open up a dialogue. Amber says, I love applying tarot and oracle card use to practical aspects of life. Yes, that's what I did. Learning tarot was so much fun, except for when your instructors say things like, you can only use cards to read. And if you read for yourself, you can only do it once a day. And I'm like, but I love these decks and images and I want to play with them in all the ways. So I learned to integrate them in creative ways into my own life and use them as much as I could because I love them. Kelly Sheridan says, do you recommend a deck to go along with your book? I recommend anything to go along with a book. I do teach you in the book to create your own meanings, your own set of instructions for you, as well as spreads, etc. So if you want to try using this with an oracle deck, go for it. I use tarot because that was the first thing I glommed onto in the divination sphere, and it still has my heart. But you can use a Rider-Waite-Smith deck or a based off of that system. You can use Thoth or Toth. You can use an oracle or, I would say possibly runes, but I'm not really sure since that really does have their own definitions. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. It's great to know other ways for reading for ourselves. Yes, and it makes us be less biased. Yes, sometimes you have to get yourself out of the way before you do readings. Courtney Weber has a great book called Tarot for One, and in it she talks about the idea of tarot confirmation bias, where, we also use the joke, the dump me, when the cards show all negative cards and the person's like, are they going to come back? It's like, I don't think so. But you have to figure out the space between again, that outcome, that goal, and what the cards are feeding you. And sometimes when you pull in that's why I say use a deck you don't know. Because when you bring in that extra deck that you don't know, you're not going to have that bias of, oh, the Empress, I love this card, or I hate this card. So that you'll be able to do that. Patty says, I love the manifestation ideas. Yes, I just did a reading, and yes, it works. Thank you. Yes, it does. I read tarot and oracle daily. Which do I prefer? I read cards daily for both myself and others, mostly tarot. However, I do have a lot of oracle decks that I'm integrating. I use a lot of self-care decks because sometimes I don't really take good care of myself. I push and I push. And so that has tips in there on one card is literally go to sleep early, or, get off your machine for a day or something. Affirmation cards are great. I like ones that I can integrate with tarot. I even like to teach, I have a class where I teach you how to play with both and mix and match them into your own reading. So you could definitely do that too. Can I give some examples of how a specific card might indicate a first action step? Yeah, so so let's see here. I actually didn't put a card on my deck, but I'm going to use a book. So if we use the Seven of Pentacles, to me, that's a sustainability card. So the first action out of the Seven of Pentacles might be make sure whatever you do fits into your current schedule, that you build in enough time to do work. If you have children, play with the kids, or a partner or a spouse, play with them, and be able to eat your 3 meals a day. So you might, look at your schedule first and determine what's going on that week or that month. If you're lucky enough to have a set schedule where every day is kind of similar except the weekends, you might be able to look at that and go, okay, Seven of Pentacles is sustainability, longevity, harvest only the right seeds that I need. And then you might start blocking out your calendar for a little bit every day. Like for me, to get better running shape, I would say, okay, I want to go to the gym to go running, or I want to go outside and go walking for an hour and a half, because the two give me the same thing. Do I have enough time to go to the gym, or do I have enough time? And is the weather, because right now it's raining in the Pac Northwest, is the weather going to hold out for something I can do outside versus something indoors? Vanessa wants my website again, so I'm going to go ahead and put that up. There we go. So yeah, I mean, again, it's all about brainstorming. When you're get creative with that Seven of Pentacles card, maybe it's 7 months or 7 days or 7 p.m. So you can kind of play with it in so many ways that doesn't require you to open up a little white book. This happens to be the Tarot for All Ages book. Or go to like a book like mine or Melissa Sanova's book, Kitchen Table Tarot, to find out all this stuff. Okay, Neil says, I didn't answer a question from Teresa. Let me see if I can find it. If not, I will be in the chat for a little bit after this so that I can possibly help. I'm not seeing Teresa's question. So Teresa, can you repost it? And I will answer that when we're done. But yes, thank you all for coming. And like I said, email me, check out my website, hang out with me online, and stay tuned. There's a lot more cool things, both tarot and witchy, coming right up.